9本尻尾の帝王アトン様に申し上げます。ダン北斗ダイナレッドがオートレースに出るという情報を手に入れました。
何ですと？
これを見てくれ。日本で最も険しく最も長いコースを20周500キロも走るレースなのだ。
おほう。それでどう？
私はダン北斗を罠にかけ大ジュピターを手に入れる作戦計画を立てたのだ。
The Super Sentai series Rogues Gallery is one of the biggest in the world of pop culture, starting with Go Ranger and through the upcoming series Zenkaiger. They have taken on everything from underground empires to space invaders, evil scientists, sentient robots, the space mafia, you name it, they fought all kinds of enemies. Each of these empires is typically made up of various layers of leadership, monsters, and foot soldiers that take on the heroes in their bid to conquer the Earth. And through these clashes, they provide contrast to the show's heroes, making it possible to tell these great stories. And sometimes, it's the villains who really make the story and add a layer of narrative complexity that helps a show stand the test of time. Through this Super Sentai Versus series, we're going to take an occasional deep dive into a specific Super Sentai adversary who left a long-lasting impression in the series. In this episode, we'll explore the history of Kagaku Sentai Dynaman's Prince Megiddo, the son of Emperor Atom and the Jashinka Empire's main commander, who led the invasion of the surface world in this 1983-84 Super Sentai TV series. Prince Megiddo is one of the Super Sentai series' earliest villain characters to be given the opportunity to develop and change as a character. This allows him to transform from a one-dimensional personality that is solely focused on conquering the surface world and defeating the Dynaman, to one that we've seen the complexity of the Jashinka Empire's societal structure, his pride as the son of the Emperor, and his rivalry against Dyna Red for cutting off one of his tails in their first encounter. As such, his story in Dynaman could be broken up into 5 distinct arcs. In the first arc, he's the proud son of the Emperor and eager to prove himself by leading the inaugural invasion of the surface world. During his first battle against the Dynaman team, he ends up taking on Dyna Red. However, the encounter quickly ends when Dyna Red cuts off one of his tails. The number of tails one has determines their rank, so having one of his tails cut off triggers a series-long rivalry with Dyna Red. Following this clash, Prince Megiddo would continue to unsuccessfully lead the Jashinka forces against Dynaman, much to the disappointment of his father, Emperor Atom. This will lead into the next arc in his story. In episode 8, we see the arrival of his cousin, Princess Chimera. After seeing the continued failures of her cousin, she asked the Emperor to allow her to lead their forces against the surface world and the Dynaman team. This leads to a rivalry between the two of them as they try to prove their worth to the Emperor.
当たり前だ。ポットでのお前なんかとは戦いのキャリアが違うわ。
メギドの心意気気に入った。7本尻尾のカーション。メギドに新荷重を与えてやれ。おほ。
This new dynamic will break up the story flow that was established in the first 7 episodes and introduce another point of frustration for Prince Megiddo, who not only had to contend with a lower rank now that he had less tails, but also a peer who was not shy about shooting down his ideas and calling him out for his continued failures. Then, in episode 37, we are introduced to General Zenobia.
Zenobia!
General Zenobia had been imprisoned in the Millennium Cave for attempting to kill the Emperor, but is given an opportunity to redeem herself if she is able to defeat the Dynaman team. This sets off a major turning point for the story, as General Zenobia leverages Prince Megiddo's next failure to not only cut off the rest of his tails, but to imprison him in the Millennium Cave. This leads not only to Prince Megiddo's downfall, but also the rise of a legendary Super Sentai anti-hero, Dark Knight. The Dark Knight is both friend and foe to the Dynaman and Jashinka Empire. He enters the story by stealing the Emperor's sword, handing it off to Dyna Yellow and playing both sides against each other. From here, he continues to antagonize both sides. For example, helping Dyna Blue master the mid-air triangle jump technique to defeat Rocket Tiger, while at the same time warning Rocket Tiger about the impending attack in episode 43. However, as the series heads towards its endgame, the Dark Knight sets up a major shift in the narrative by introducing General Zenobia to Retrogenes and having her plead her loyalty to him instead of the Emperor. Retrogenes, which were previously discovered and hidden by Dr. Toyama, can give the Jashinka people the ability to grow 10 tails, which would result in them having unlimited power.
だがもしレトロ遺伝子を作ったら、あとは10本尻尾になる。そうなったら、アトムは超魔力を得る。それは月さえも動かし、空も海も大地も意のままに操る恐ろしい力と聞いて、今以上に恐ろしいことになる。一体どうすればいい？
This sets up one last major clash between the three sides that will lead to the final arc in Prince Megiddo's story. First, the Dark Knight defeats Emperor Atom.
Dark Knight, お前の負けだ。
Then he defeats General Zenobia by tricking her into growing 10 tails.
苦しめ。
何？
もっと苦しんで地獄へ落ちろ。それがお前の末路にふさわしい。
もしやお前は。
It's then revealed that he was Prince Megiddo all along. However, by seizing his newly realized power, he is able to easily vanquish the Dynaman team to the Millennium Cave.
Dynaman, 千年洞窟へ落ちろ!
This sets in motion the final arc of Prince Megiddo's story, the Emperor Megiddo arc. As the new emperor of the Jashinka, Megiddo triggers one final attack to take over the surface world. This would set the stage for a final clash with the Dynaman team and one last stand from the Jashinka Empire. Ultimately, even though he loses against Dynaman, Emperor Megiddo proved himself worthy of his title and ambitions. This is notable when Princess Chimera, who was previously a rival, stays by his side during their last stand.
Megiddo! Chimera, お前は戻れ。地底へ戻るのだ。
嫌です。メギド様と最後まで戦います。連れて行ってください。
よし、最後の戦いだ。行くぞ。
The character development of Megiddo from Prince to Dark Knight and ultimately Emperor was a major evolution for the Super Sentai series during this period. It humanized the villain's side of the story and in some cases even made you want to cheer for his success. The Dark Knight character also served as a template for future anti-heroes in the Super Sentai series. And lastly, it's noteworthy how in the final episode, Chimera and Megiddo became lead characters whose failure is as central to the story as the post-celebration by the Dynaman team. The ending to their story is tragic and evokes feelings of sadness by the people who watch the show. That's quite an achievement for characters who represented the empire that was attempting to take over the world in this series.